I found out my husband has been cheating and I may have just blown up 2 families, but I feel like the other spouse in all of this deserve to know the truth. My husband Ryan, 35M, and I, 32F, have been married for 7 years, together for 10. We have 2 kids, Emma, 5, and Lucas, 3. I thought we had a solid marriage. Sure, we've had our ups and downs like any couple, especially after the kids came along, but nothing that seemed like relationship-ending stuff. Ryan has always been a good father, and what I thought was a devoted husband. About 10 months ago, Ryan started acting differently. He was working late more often, being secretive with his phone, and seemed distant during family time. When I'd ask about his day or try to have conversations, he'd give me short answers and seem distracted. Our intimacy disappeared, which he blamed on work stress. I started getting suspicious when he began going on work trips that seemed unnecessary. Ryan works in marketing for a mid-sized company, and while travel isn't unheard of, he'd never traveled this much before. When I asked about the trips, he'd get defensive and say I didn't understand his job pressures. The thing that really got to me was how he started taking his phone everywhere, even to the bathroom. He'd sleep with it under his pillow, and would get visibly nervous if I was anywhere near it when it buzzed. This is a man who used to leave his phone lying around, and would even ask me to check his messages for him. 3 weeks ago, everything came crashing down. Ryan had gone for a run and left his phone charging in the kitchen. It started buzzing with text notifications, and I could see the preview messages on the lock screen. They were from someone named M, and the messages were definitely not work-related. Things like, "I can't stop thinking about last night, and when can we be together again?" My heart was pounding, but I knew I had to see more. I know his passcode because we've always been open about our phones, or so I thought. When I opened his messages, I found months of conversations with someone whose contact name was just M, but whose real name I could see was Monica. The messages were devastating. Not just intimate texts, but emotional affair stuff too. Things like, "I love you so much," and "I wish we didn't have to hide this," and planning secret meetups. There were also complaints about their respective spouses, Ryan calling me needy and boring, and Monica calling her husband clueless and saying she felt trapped in her marriage. I took screenshots of everything before Ryan got back from his run. When he walked in, I confronted him immediately. I was crying and shaking, and just kept asking, "Who is Monica?" The look on his face told me everything. He went completely white and started stammering about how it wasn't what it looked like. When I showed him the screenshots, he broke down and admitted to the affair. Ryan told me Monica is a coworker from a different department who he'd gotten close to over the past 10 months. It started as friendship, then emotional cheating, then became physical about 6 months ago. The work trips were actually weekend getaways with her to hotels in nearby cities. He swore it was over and begged me not to leave him. He said it was a mistake and that he loved our family. But when I asked if he loved her, he couldn't give me a straight answer. He just kept saying it was complicated and that he was confused about his feelings. I was furious. Not just about the cheating, but about how he'd made me feel crazy for months when I sensed something was wrong. He'd made me think I was being paranoid and insecure when my instincts were spot on. Here's where I might be the asshole. During our fight, Ryan let slip that Monica is married with kids too. He mentioned her husband's name, David, and said Monica was planning to leave him eventually, but needed more time to figure things out. That comment made me see red. This woman was not only helping destroy my marriage, but she was planning to destroy her own family too, and her husband had no idea what was coming. I kept thinking about how I felt finding those messages, and how devastating it would be to be blindsided by divorce papers without ever knowing there was another man involved. I decided David deserved to know the truth before Monica could craft whatever story she was planning to tell him. It took me 2 days to find David on social media. Monica's Facebook is pretty locked down, but I found some old posts where she was tagged with her full name, Monica Chen. From there I was able to find David Chen, and it was obvious from their photos that they're married with 2 young kids. I spent another whole day agonizing over whether to reach out to him. Part of me felt like it wasn't my place, and that I should focus on my own marriage. But part of me felt like he was being betrayed just like I was, and he deserved the chance to make informed decisions about his life. Finally, I sent David a message on Facebook. I kept it simple. "Hi David, you don't know me, but I'm the wife of Ryan Martinez. I found out he's been having an affair with your wife Monica for several months. I thought you deserved to know. I have proof if you want to see it." David responded within an hour asking for the proof. I sent him screenshots of the text conversations between Ryan and Monica, including the ones where they talked about their spouses and made plans to meet up. I also sent him photos Ryan had taken of Monica during their hotel stays that I'd found in his hidden photo album. David was devastated but grateful. He said he'd suspected something was wrong, but Monica had been making him think he was imagining things, the same way Ryan had been doing to me. He said Monica had been distant and critical lately, and had started talking about marriage counseling and possibly separating. Here's where everything went to hell. David confronted Monica that same night with the evidence I'd given him. Monica immediately called Ryan screaming about how I'd ruined everything. Ryan came home furious, saying I destroyed any chance of us working things out and that I'd been vindictive and cruel. He said that he and Monica had already decided to end the affair and try to work on their marriages, and that my interference had made it impossible for either of them to repair their relationships with their spouses. He accused me of wanting to burn everything down instead of trying to heal our marriage. I told him that was complete bullshit because the text messages clearly showed they were planning a future together, not ending things. He claimed those messages were fantasy, and that they both knew they needed to recommit to their families. The fallout has been intense. Monica apparently had a complete breakdown when David confronted her. According to Ryan, she's been calling out of work and is barely functioning. David filed for divorce 3 days after I contacted him and is asking for full custody of their kids. Monica's been blowing up Ryan's phone begging him to leave me and be with her since her marriage is over anyway. Ryan showed me these messages to prove that he's choosing our family, but honestly, it just makes me feel like he's settling for me because his first choice is no longer available. My sister thinks I did the right thing, and that David deserved to know. She says affairs thrive in secrecy, and that bringing them into the light is the only way anyone can make real decisions about their lives. But my mom thinks I was vindictive and that I should have focused on my own marriage instead of interfering in someone else's. She says I made it impossible for Ryan to end the affair gracefully, and now I've guaranteed that our marriage can't be saved. Some of my friends are divided. My best friend Sarah says she would have wanted to know if her husband was cheating and that I was being a good person by telling David. But my friend Lisa says I was acting out of anger and revenge rather than genuine concern for David, and that I've made everything messier for everyone involved. Ryan has been begging me to go to marriage counseling, but I'm struggling with whether I even want to try. Part of me wonders if he only wants to work on our marriage now because his affair partner's life imploded and she's not the fun escape she used to be. The kids obviously don't know what's going on, but they can sense the tension. Emma keeps asking why Daddy is sleeping in the guest room and why Mommy has been crying. I hate that my kids are being affected by this mess. I keep going back and forth on whether I did the right thing. On one hand, David deserved to know that his wife was cheating and planning to leave him. On the other hand, maybe I should have stayed in my own lane and focused on my own marriage instead of blowing up someone else's life. Am I in the wrong for reaching out to Monica's husband and telling him about the affair? Should I have minded my own business? Or did David have a right to know what was really going on in his marriage? Edit. I'm trying to read through all the comments. Thank you to everyone who took the time to respond, even those who disagree with what I did. Edit 2. Some people are asking why I went through Ryan's phone. We've always had each other's passcodes and have been open about our phones throughout our marriage. The secretive behavior was completely new and out of character for him. Edit 3. To those saying I should have confronted Ryan first and given him a chance to end it himself, I did confront him. He admitted to the affair but couldn't give me a straight answer about his feelings for Monica. He claimed it was complicated. That's not someone who's ready to end things. Edit 4. For those asking about the timeline, the affair started 10 months ago as an emotional affair, became physical 6 months ago. I found out 3 weeks ago, contacted David 2 weeks ago. Update 3 days later. Thank you to everyone who took the time to comment. The majority of you said I did the right thing by telling David, and that's been really validating. I want to address something that came up in the comments. Some people accused me of acting out of revenge rather than genuine concern for David. I've been thinking about this a lot, and honestly, you might be partly right. Was I angry and hurt? Absolutely. Did part of me want Ryan and Monica to face consequences for what they'd done? Yeah, probably that. But I also genuinely felt for David. Reading those messages where Monica called him clueless and made fun of him behind his back while planning to leave him made my heart break for him. I kept imagining him going about his daily life, being a good husband and father, while his wife was planning to blow up his world without giving him any chance to understand why. David reached out to me again yesterday. He wanted to thank me and update me on his situation. Monica apparently admitted to the affair when confronted with the evidence, but tried to minimize it. She claimed it was mostly emotional and that they'd only been physical a few times. David said that was obviously false given the screenshots I'd sent him. Monica begged David not to divorce her and promised to cut off all contact with Ryan. She said she'd been going through a midlife crisis and that she loved David and their kids. But David said he couldn't get past the betrayal, especially the part where she'd been planning to leave him while pretending everything was fine. David also told me something that made me feel better about reaching out to him. He said Monica had been pushing for them to make some major financial decisions lately, refinancing their house, combining some investments, stuff that would have been really complicated to undo in a divorce. He thinks she was trying to make it harder for him to leave or to hide assets before she filed for divorce herself. That conversation confirmed for me that I did the right thing. Monica wasn't planning to end the affair. She was planning to make sure she had the upper hand when she eventually left David. As for my situation with Ryan, things have gotten more complicated. He's been doing everything he can think of to show me he's committed to our marriage. He's been completely transparent with his phone. He's scheduled marriage counseling appointments. He's been handling more of the household and parenting duties, and he even wrote me a long letter apologizing for everything. But I'm struggling with trusting any of it. I can't stop thinking about the timing. Ryan only started fighting for our marriage after Monica's world fell apart, and she became a sobbing mess begging him to leave me. Would he be trying this hard to save our marriage if Monica was still available and fun? I asked him this directly, and he swore that he'd already realized he was making a huge mistake before everything blew up. He said seeing how devastated I was when I confronted him made him realize what he was throwing away. He claims he was already planning to end things with Monica, and that my contacting David just sped up the timeline. I want to believe him, but I'm not sure I can. The messages I saw between them didn't look like two people planning to end their relationship. They look like two people planning a future together. Edit 5. Some people in the comments are asking about STD testing. Yes, I've been tested. Results came back clean, thankfully. Edit 6. To those suggesting I contact a lawyer, I already have. I'm not planning to file for divorce yet, but I want to know my options. Update, 2 weeks later. This situation has spiraled way beyond what I expected when I first contacted David. The marriage counseling with Ryan has been complicated. We've had 3 sessions so far, and while Ryan is saying all the right things, I'm still struggling to believe him. Our therapist has been asking him tough questions about his motivations and his feelings for Monica, and his answers haven't been as reassuring as I'd hoped. When she asked him directly if he was in love with Monica, Ryan hesitated way too long before saying no. When she asked if he would want to be with Monica if both of our marriages ended, he said he hadn't thought about it that way and that he was focused on our family. Those aren't exactly the definitive answers I was looking for from someone who claims he wants to save our marriage. But the real drama has been with Monica and David's situation. Monica's behavior has escalated to a really scary level. David reached out to me last week because Monica had been acting increasingly erratic. She'd been refusing to take medication or see a therapist, despite her family's pleas. Monica somehow got my phone number and started calling me at all hours. The first few calls were just her crying and begging me to give Ryan back to her. I blocked her number, but she kept calling from different numbers. Then the calls turned threatening. She started saying I was going to pay for ruining her family and that she was going to make sure everyone knew what kind of person I really was. But it got much worse. Last Tuesday, I noticed a car parked across the street from Emma's school that seemed out of place. When I saw the same car there for 3 days straight, I realized it was Monica watching me pick up my daughter. I called the police and took pictures of her license plate. When Monica saw me photographing her car, she drove off quickly. The police told me to document everything and apply for a restraining order. The absolute last straw happened this past Saturday. Someone started pounding on my front door at 8 p.m. I looked through the peephole and saw Monica holding what looked like a screwdriver. She was screaming through the door about how I needed to come outside and settle this. I called 911 immediately while Monica continued pounding on the door. Emma and Lucas were terrified, asking why this scary lady was trying to get into our house. I took them upstairs and locked the bedroom door while we waited for police. When police arrived, Monica was trying to use the screwdriver to force open my back gate. She told officers she just needed 5 minutes to talk to me. The police arrested Monica for criminal trespassing, stalking, and attempted breaking and entering. The restraining order was approved immediately after Monica's arrest. She's not allowed within 500 feet of me, my children, my home, my workplace, or Emma's school. Ryan was shaken when he heard what happened. For the first time since this whole mess started, Ryan seemed to fully grasp the consequences of his affair. Seeing his children terrified made everything real for him in a way that our marriage counseling sessions hadn't. Ryan begged me to let him move back in temporarily for our safety, but I refused. Instead, I'm staying at my sister's house with the kids until we know Monica is going to remain in custody or get the mental health treatment she clearly needs. David told me that Monica's family is finally taking her mental health seriously. Apparently, there's a family history of bipolar disorder that they've been in denial about. Her arrest might finally give them the legal leverage they need for involuntary commitment if she continues refusing treatment. Edit 7. People are asking about Monica's kids. David has full temporary custody, and they're in therapy to help them understand what's happening. It's heartbreaking that they're caught in the middle of this. Edit 8. To those saying I should have seen this coming, how exactly was I supposed to predict that Monica would have a complete mental breakdown and start stalking my family? I thought I was helping someone who deserved to know the truth about his marriage. Update, 6 weeks later. A lot has happened since my last update. Monica was held in jail for 5 days before her family was able to get her admitted to an inpatient psychiatric facility. She's been there for 5 weeks now with a confirmed diagnosis of bipolar disorder. The criminal charges against Monica are on hold while she's receiving treatment, but the prosecutor told me they'll likely be reduced to misdemeanors if she completes her treatment program and stays on medication. The restraining order remains in place for 2 years. David's divorce moved forward quickly since Monica is in no condition to participate in proceedings. He was awarded full temporary custody of their kids, and Monica will only be allowed supervised visitation once she's stable and released. As for Ryan and me, I went ahead and filed for divorce. We tried a few more marriage counseling sessions after Monica was hospitalized, but my heart just wasn't in it anymore. Too much damage had been done, and I couldn't get past the fact that Ryan had chosen Monica despite red flags about her stability. Ryan fought the divorce initially, but eventually accepted that I was serious about ending our marriage. We're working out custody and financial arrangements, and surprisingly, it's been fairly amicable. I think Ryan finally understands the full consequences of his choices. The kids are adjusting well to the divorce. It helps that Ryan and I aren't fighting or putting them in the middle of our issues. Ryan found an apartment about 10 minutes away, so he can be close to the kids. David and I have remained friends throughout this whole process. Some people think it's odd that we stay in touch, but we went through something really traumatic together, and we understand each other's experiences in a way that other people don't. Looking back on this whole mess, I still believe I did the right thing by telling David about the affair. Yes, it led to a lot of chaos and contributed to Monica having a breakdown, but the truth needed to come out. Monica's extreme reaction showed that she was never emotionally equipped to handle the consequences of her choices. The whole experience taught me a lot about setting boundaries and trusting my instincts. When I first suspected Ryan was cheating, I second-guessed myself and let him convince me I was being paranoid. I'll never ignore my gut feelings like that again.